Hello, everyone. Welcome to these divination sessions. These are very fun for me to do, not just for myself, but these tend to be some of the more popular spreads that people will choose when they purchase private readings with me, when they book a private reading. So, yeah, we're going to get into it. So, two aspects to today's reading. We're going to dive into who the guide is, right? Because some of y'all have a team, okay? So we're going to dive into this specific guide that has been trying to communicate a message to you, their energy, and then we're going to obviously dive into what it is that they've been trying to get through your thick skull. Just kidding. Peace and love. So 4 piles to choose from today, you guys. And whenever you're feeling ready, we're going to hop right into these readings. Hello, pile 1. Here is your reading for a message from a guide, something a certain guide has been trying to communicate to you. We're going to dive into it together. I haven't looked at any of your cards. Just remember, if you skip past my intro, we're diving into 2 aspects. We're going to address who the guide is with a message and then what the message is. So let's get into it together. So these 2 cards represent who the guide is. You have the Princess of Wands and you have Shapeshifter. Transform and unveil your gifts. So generally when, generally the guide that's coming through to assist us is also like the energy that the guide embodies is also part of the message. So keep that in mind. Right away, I feel like this is for group number 1. This is a guide that communicates to you quite a bit through animal symbology. I'm feeling like I'm hearing for some of you, this is definitely like a past loved one. Someone that was incarnate at some point and is no longer here, but they communicate through like animal symbology. Animal symbology. So for some of you, it might be the snake. For some of you, it might be the hawk. We do have like a wolf coming through here too. We have feathers, so you might see like feathers on the ground. I'm also seeing like planets in the back. So this could say that that you dream about them, or you feel like a deeper connection to them at night, or during the what a lot of yogis and mystics consider God's hour. So that's like the Vata time of the day if you're speaking in terms of Ayurveda. So that's the time of the day where before, like, it's the dawn and it's the dusk, right? That's supposedly, and I experience this to be true too, but that's when it's the most easiest, like the veil is the thinnest during that time. So you might actually feel like you communicate with them a lot, or like you wake up at strange times, like 333, or like between like the 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock hour, you wake up, and it feels like, you have a message, or I'm hearing like cold sweats for some of you. So yeah, I feel like this individual was, they had a lot of fire behind them, even if they didn't fully express it, or they didn't know how to fully express it. I'm just seeing someone that is like very determined. Oh yeah, I also see a gazelle here too. But I feel like this is someone, the message from this guide, oh yeah, the message is already coming through. I feel like this is an individual that had a really hard time just being who they were. Or like fully embodying who they were, or maybe they didn't even know who they truly were, and they just went based off of like society, or what they what they felt was kind of expected of them. With this Princess of Wands too, I feel like they had like a fire, like, because it's the page, I feel like there was a lot of unexpressed potential that this guide felt. Okay. And that I'm already feeling like that's probably going to be part of the message from this guide. Something about coming forward to express gifts, right? Being unashamed, and just being very bold, okay? So we'll hear more about the guide, I'm sure, as we dive into more of the message. So I'm going to start with oracles before we get into tarot. So your 2 oracles is patience and new life. Okay, so you guys might be in there's a couple messages coming through. So the first message that I initially felt is patience in regards to like a new start that you guys are wanting, or patience in the unraveling of some individuals starting off towards their dreams. So I feel like, so this is very multi-layered, and there's, going to be many different people tuning into this. So the way it's like, there's so many different like teeny tiny like angle shifts with this particular spread that I'm getting already. So for some of you guys, it's like a new life or a new interest, or you've taken the leap, right? You've done the Fool card, you've taken the jump into a new direction, and it's like you're not seeing the fruits of it already, right? Because this guide that's coming through is talking about transforming and unveiling gifts, right? And so that, honestly, that takes time. Like the time that we have our initial awakenings, and the point in time where we're actually embodying those gifts, and we can actually see, like, our paradigm is actually shifted to, like, support it. So we're actually seeing evidence of our gifts changing the world or helping the world, right? So for some of the beings tuning in, this guide is coming through and saying, like, have patience, like, it's gonna come. And, you know, especially if you're in the initial stages of, like, having a new spark, taking a new leap, and feeling like it's not here, like wanting it to have been here yesterday, when it's like you just started down this new endeavor, this guide is really coming through. And I feel like one of the reasons why it's this specific guide coming through is because you know, there's a lot of boldness. The fire element is like, takes no fucks. Like the fire element I feel like really doesn't know the word no or the word slow. And so I feel like with the transform and unveiling your gifts, like this guide is really coming through and saying, like, this is going to take time. Even for some of you, it might not even be a past loved one, but just a guide or someone that it might not even be an individual, but I feel like for some of you, it might just be you get a lot of messages from the animal kingdom and the animal world in general that communicate messages to you. And all of your guides could be piggybacking off of these different animals. Or, yeah, trying to communicate messages through, like, if you know what the hawk means, right? The hawk is all about seeing more than other people, or having a neutral eye. Like, you can see the bigger picture more so than beings that are just, like, on the ground, or beings that, you know, are just so narrow focused, like you having a much more expanded lens. So, you know, you guys might associate certain animals with certain messages from your team behind the scenes in general. The wolf, about, you know, not being afraid to stand alone. The lone wolf, but still being powerful and still knowing when it's time to come together and create with other people, right? So I feel like there's a lot of elements here that is really, this guide is coming through and asking you to enjoy the process, asking you to enjoy the unfolding. So I feel like you can feel in your bones, you feel that you're connected to a timeline. However, it might not be fully manifested yet, or it might just be slow to move, right? And so I feel like this guide is coming through and being like, we get it, I get it, you know, with all of this fire energy, and we'll get to the tarot to see what else it has to say. But, you know, these are just my initial impressions of, like, your new life is already here. Don't wait for the external support before you actually believe it in your bones, right? And understanding that it's, you know, like if you take a dog, for example, like I have my husky right here on the bed, like his paws were so big when he was a little puppy. And so there was an understanding that eventually he would grow into his paws, right? He would grow into that. And there was an honoring, and he didn't try to rush it, right? There was, like, you know, no capacity with the cerebral cortex or the, you know, the frontal lobe that suggests that where we are now is not where we should be. But humans have this beautiful witnessing capacity to where we can kind of trip up over ourselves and kind of make that the case, and somehow believe that where we are now is not an essential part of where we're supposed to be. So I'm hearing that you're already locked into your timeline. It's just it's going to take time for this unfolding to happen, right? And the more that you're enjoying it, honestly, the more that you're enjoying it, so the less resistance you're creating by being like, I should be, right? Shoulds, coulds, woulds are really important to watch out for. That's creating more resistance. That's actually going to lengthen the timeline, right? And it's like, whatever, you know, whatever, this life and the next. But, you know, if you're in that space of joy, you're not creating resistance on the path, and you're much more likely to access more of your divine blueprint. The divine blueprint is accessed through still spaces, through peaceful states. So you're going to act on hunches. You're more likely to act on hunches and to receive, to hear the divine mind speaking to you, because there's not a whole lot of, like, the smaller limited self trying to get in the way of that, or trying to think it knows what's best, right? So I feel like for some of you guys too, it's like wanting a new life, or like really craving that new life. And again, there's like, we don't always know from this level why certain things aren't clicking into place at a certain time. But, like, you know, for a lot of those beings drawn to my channel, your dharma has to do with, you know, being of service to other people. So if you're working with other people, it's like those people have to be at a certain place of readiness also. It's a co-creative experience, right? So this guy that's coming through is basically saying there's different components here, and they want you to enjoy the process along the way a bit more. So we're going to get into the tarot. So my fave in between tarot, and then we also have just the regular tarot. So we have the Four of Cups into the Five of Cups energy. So a sense of like boredom. Five of Cups is like kind of apathetic energy, or not being able to see what's actually here in front of you. So like overlooking the goodness that's here in front of you. We also have the Seven of Cups into the Eight of Cups. So Seven of Cups energy, feeling like you have a lot of options. I feel like this new life has required you to walk away from things, or to walk away from certain people. This could even just be like the narratives that you tell yourself is really important here too. But this is like this phase of the 7 into the 8. It's like understanding, like finally making a choice, right? Finally making a decision. It's no longer in a state of like being in the ethers or being options. Like the 7 into the 8 is like, I'm finally making a decision to put my foot down and to go this direction. So for some of you guys too, an element of this is of your new life coming in is there might be aspects within your reality still that does not support this new paradigm, right? Even for me, the other day I did a clean sweep of like through my Instagram, and I'm probably going to have to do this in waves where for whatever reason, even if it's people I haven't talked to for years, like there's still like this energetic cord that we can have to certain people out of guilt, out of shame or whatever, when it's like, this is a fast moving era that we're in. The age of Aquarius is a Vata age. So it's very airy. It's very quick moving. It's very fast paced, right? And so as long as, we don't need to harbor guilt towards ourselves or to other people, but there can be such a, those connections it's so interesting because there's a part of us that is like, in our psyche and in our energetic field by not being able to release those when it's time. And you can leave on good terms, right? It doesn't have to be anything hard feelings, right? When it's time for those connections or those old realities in whatever way this is right for you, when we realize that, when we know it, when we call it as it is, when it's like, okay, this is just not serving me anymore, but we still keep them in our reality, we are saying, I'm not ready for my new life. I'm not ready for my new reality yet because they're still like untied, right? Unfinished business. And you guys, especially if you're in the US, like Pluto has just returned to where it was when the Declaration of Independence was signed, right? So there's a lot here about like really officially cutting cords, right? And so if you've been kind of feeling this energy of like, gosh, I really want this new life to come in, but you still have other like cords that you're not ready to cut, honor your timing, of course. Even with me, I'm like, there's still some people that I'm like, because I'm such an empath and I don't want them to, I'm afraid, or I am just mindful that that's probably going to trigger a rejection wound in someone, right? Even though it's with peace and love. And it's just like, I'm just ready for people that I'm talking to, people that just get me a lot more, people that I'm collaborating with, people that speak the same language. Like I need to make space for those people, right? It doesn't mean it's better. It's just more relevant for where I'm at. And so I feel like this guide is coming through and being like, you say you want this new life, have patience with yourself, but also be mindful of where you're still keeping old energy in your field. You say you want one thing, but like, it's that thing of like actions, thoughts, and energy all saying different things. And so it's about becoming a unified personality, right? Where your thoughts, your actions, your behavior, your energy, they're unified and they're not scattered in different directions saying different things. Last but not least, we have the Six of Cups coming up here too. So yeah, I feel like this, could most certainly have to do with long-standing connections, right? Some people are apt to make the journey with you. I have friends that, are not as deep into the esoterics as I am, but they're on a consistent growth process in a very similar direction, or there's just a resonance. Sometimes we don't always know, and I can't always verbalize why it feels like some people are still apt to stay in my reality and why others aren't, but that's not my business. It's, my business is to release the mind and release the narratives as much as I can and to just do my best to align with what feels the most truthful. So for you guys, I feel like because this is all cups energy, yeah, it's interesting. We have all the cups here. We have the 4 into the 5, then we have the 6, then we have the 7 into the 8. Look at that. That is, I can't even twist. That is so, wow, that's beautiful. So 4 of Cups, recognizing that, there's some elements that you're not necessarily satisfied with, feeling bored with what's around you. 5 of Cups, because your mind and your energy is so focused. Like, I feel like, again, the whole notion of things taking up space, not being able to recognize or not being able to allow space for something new to come in because there's, there's so much already there that's, you just need to create space, right? And I feel like this does have to do with like long-standing connections, and it's like new soul family. Like soul family is wanting to come in, right? Versus these connections that we have when we're, at different levels of our awakening or different levels of awareness. That's the versions of us that they support, and again, sometimes they grow with us, but in many cases, what I've experienced, a lot of the times they don't necessarily, right? Especially in this age, relationships happen pretty quickly, especially if you're tuned in, right? So 7 into 8, it's like really finally taking a stand. And for some of you guys, you might have already known, I'm hearing that you already know that it's time. And so this guide is really trying to drive the point home, especially being honest about the people that you have this feeling that they have wanted you to dim your light, or wanted you to like not shine as brightly as you have the capacity to, because it made them feel a certain type of way. Being really honest. We don't have to like hold grudges, but it's important, honestly, to just be honest because vibrationally you're saying that's what you're okay with, that you're okay with those types of dynamics. And it's like where you're going, you don't have space for that bullshit. Like I'm feeling a lot of joy for you guys. I'm feeling a lot of just like you being free in your own skin. And so, being around people that really support you being in your own skin and all of its complexities, right? And that aren't, in a weird way, sending you energy that says who you are is not complete, or who you are is not good enough, or who you are is not A, B, C, and D, and kind of in a weird way, wanting you to fit yourself in a box or whatever. But I feel like with all the cups, this most certainly has to do with relationships, you guys, and having patience with yourself, having patience with your unfolding, and making space, right? Making space in your reality, that's actually going to support this new life. So going towards new connections, going towards those collaborations that feel like they really light you up, with people that really get you. And again, most important, your guide is coming through, with this unveiling of your gifts and you really creating this paradigm of your dreams, right? That is really aligned to your soul's plan. Patience, enjoy the journey. Don't try to rush it, because the more you enjoy, the more you're going to collapse that timeline. So pile number 1, I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart today. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment anything down below that resonated or stood out to you. If you feel guided, subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. Hey, pile 2, here is your reading for something a guide has been trying to communicate to you. So I have not looked at any of your cards. We have 2 aspects. If you skip past my intro, we have 2 aspects. We have, we're going to get into who the guide is, tuning into their energies. We're going to get into what the specific message is as well. So we're going to start with the guide. So we have 2 cards here, 1 tarot, 1 oracle. So first we have Protection Guardian, drop your shields. And we also have the 6 of Pentacles. So I like to reiterate that generally the guides that come through to assist us, whatever energy they embody is generally what they're here to help us with. So, Archangel Michael is like the archangel that, most people tune into and feel like it's very powerful, very supportive of cutting through bullshit and really aligning with the Dharma, really aligning with the soul's path, right? So generally that's what he embodies, is really being a servant of God, a servant of source, whatever you want to say. That's what he's going to help us with, or it, right? So with this Protection Guardian, dropping your shields, there's something here about this. There's a guide coming through. I really feel like this could be more of an archangel type of energy, or a guide that doesn't feel like you've known, like an ancestor or someone that was incarnate. This definitely feels like an angel. What is it? A guardian angel, right? There's something that's coming through about feeling protective and feeling like things are out of balance. So this guide, I feel, is coming through and says that they recognize that you have very sound reason to feel like you need to create mechanisms of protection. I am getting the strong sense that this is a guide that is coming through to assist with my empaths, people that are more highly sensitive. It feels like this guide is one that is here to help assist recognizing when a connection is, you trying to rewrite your childhood narrative or the childhood script, when it's you creating protection mechanisms that don't need to be there, or when there's actually a very valid reason to not let someone into your heart, or to not I feel like when we're on this path, for example, sometimes we're going to attract all different types of people. And so sometimes I've been really caught off guard because some people can feel like they embody certain energies that feel very like reflective of my own state of consciousness. And so there can be a lot of excitement. And then I'm quite actually let down when I start to talk more to that entity one-on-one. And it's like I had created such an image, almost like a distorted image, and it was kind of let down by the reality of things. And, whatever you want to say, that could be my own fault, whatever. But I feel like this guide is a guided discernment in terms of like really coming through. I feel like this is a guide specifically for empaths. So I feel like that's why it feels very like convoluted and very broad, because there's different levels of guides that we have. So we can have ancestors, we can have past loved ones that are just our team. And then it's like my guides show me, it's like as the circles expand more and more, the guides become less personal, less personalized, and it becomes much more broad. So this feels like a guide that is really here for my empaths and really here to help keep things in balance energetically. Because sometimes I get it. Doesn't matter how perceptive you are, sometimes we can be caught off guard by people's true intentions. And honestly, a lot of the time is because we're dealing with people that aren't unified personalities. So their energy is saying something different than their behaviors, right? There's still a lot of karma. Those karmic scales have not tipped quite yet. And so it's like their energy is saying one thing, but their actions are saying something completely different. It's because that karmic runoff is still happening to a really gross degree. When I say gross, sometimes it could be gross, but it's just like a very obvious degree, right? So I feel like this is a guide that kind of oversees like my more highly sensitive individuals, people that feel like they need to, for good reason, protect themselves. So we're going to get into what the message is from this guide. We have serendipity and look through the situation. So I feel like this is about remaining lighthearted in a situation that might have caused you to, just like kind of the example that I relayed. There might be something going on in your external reality. If you are feeling, this guide is coming through and saying, if you are left feeling contracted and limited and like your self-esteem has taken a hit, you're not seeing it through the correct lens, right? There's a lot here about perception that's coming through. Whatever happened or whatever situation this has to do with, I feel like it has something to do with feeling like you got the short end of the stick and feeling like your protection mechanism started to go up again, and like you kind of developed a cold shoulder or like a chip on your shoulder. And the Spirit is saying that I feel like this doesn't happen to you very often, or at least in this area, this doesn't happen very often where you feel like you're caught so off guard, right? And so I feel like this guide is really coming through to help you reframe your perception around this certain experience, and to see how this is exactly what it needed to be. This was supposed to trigger you in a way to help you recognize where you still give your power away, where things are not actually balanced, right? Where it's helping you to recognize, the more we expand, voice crack, the more we expand our levels of perception, the more subtle this reality becomes. We're working with a lot more complexities than if we were just, operating through more dense chakras or just like lower chakras, right? But this group feels very expanded because you are empaths, like very in tune with your psychic gifts, the higher chakras. So I feel like the more, I know from experience, the more subtle these things become, right? And so when you get caught in something, let that be your indication of like, oh, okay, I've identified another place where I'm still giving my power away, or where I might still be falling back into old habits and patterns of like not letting people, like not giving situations time to prove themselves to me. Or it's like, I don't necessarily feel like it's negative to, I don't necessarily feel like it's a bad thing to assume the best for people, but also just being realistic where other people are at in their journey, and remembering that how people respond to you has nothing to do with you, and it's all just an invitation to become more free. Like this serendipity card to me feels like a lot more free, a lot more celebratory, right? So if there are situations that are happening that make you feel shackled and make you feel tethered, there's something about it that I feel like there might have been expectations that were attached to it that were unrealistic. And if it's causing you to close your heart or to base your sense of identity in a negative way off of it, then that's something to look at most certainly. Because I was just listening to a talk with my Kundalini yoga teacher today, and he was saying how, we're always going to have narratives, right? As long as we're in a human body, our mind is never going to completely stop, right? Our thoughts, like, it can definitely feel more still. And this is something I've experienced too. Like, regardless of what's going on up here, it's like you've anchored yourself in something much more serene and something much deeper, that this doesn't throw you off as much, right? But essentially with, the portal that just happened yesterday, when I'm filming this, the 222222222, the Tuesday portal that happened, I know the 222 for me is all about watching your narrative, right? Being mindful of your narrative. And so I feel like that's really what this guide is coming through here and saying. It's like, as long as you're alive, you're going to have thoughts, right? And thoughts are essentially just, momentous energy, right? It's just energy, and your mind likes to create symbols through words, right? And meaning, right? So that energy is going to be there. How you choose, like, the narrative you attach to that momentous energy is what's either going to bind you further to your karma, so to suffering in the wheel of samsara, the wheel of cause and effect, or what is going to set you free, right? So just being mindful that, yeah, we're going to have thoughts, we're going to have old patterns and old tendencies come up. Be careful, just be mindful of the narrative that you're attaching to when this shit comes up. And as much as you can, you're seeing it closer through the eyes of your higher self, through the level of the soul, when you feel serendipitous, regardless of what is happening, right? When you feel good, when you feel free, regardless of what's happening. And true freedom is understanding it, or realizing that you're going to get caught. True freedom is recognizing that you're going to get caught, but that doesn't mean your experience has to be any less free than what it is, right? It's really seeing things as they are. And when these situations come up, being mindful to not close down the heart and think you're doing something wrong, or like losing all faith, but just remembering, especially as you walk this path, as you guys deepen your path, you're going to meet the subtle nature of things and complexities within other people and within situations even more. So whereas, most people might just see the surface level and gain the, like, more gross lessons, like, you're gaining the gross lessons, but there's also, like, a whole series of complexities and layers beneath that you're also gathering. So you guys are very in tune. Just because I'm guided to talk at this level of depth, I can feel like I genuinely feel like this is a gift, whatever, no matter how challenging it might seem. So we're going to get into your tarot. We have 3 cards today, 2 in between and 1 regular. So yeah, let's start with this one, because I kind of already saw this one, the Lovers. This could also just do with, like, high-level soulmates. It doesn't have to be a lover, but I've had a feeling that this might have to do with a good amount of you, with a trigger that happened from a potential love interest. And there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of becoming much more unified within yourself and much less reliant on other people's behavior, right? This could have to do with a lover, but this to me could also just represent, like, this could represent a boss. Like, when this lover energy is coming through in this spread in particular, I'm getting this type of energy where it's like, in a loving way, from the higher self, right? We take these contracts with people to, like, poke and prod at our foundation to see where it's built on sand. And while on this 3D level only, it can get really fucking annoying, and you're like, get your shit together. On a higher level, it's like, thank you so much, because I see where I was still giving my power away. I see where I was still getting lost in fantasies and, placing my sense of power and my sense of well-being and my sense of happiness outside, versus recognizing it's born, true fulfillment, true prosperity, true peace is born from the inside out. So let's get into these in between. We have the Page of Cups moving into the Knight of Cups. So I feel like this is you. This guide is coming through and saying this is a huge opportunity to up level in terms of your emotional maturity. So I feel like with the Page of Cups, this could even be like, if someone triggered you, or someone's, like, acting out of their ass or something, like, not waiting for that apology, not waiting for them to reach out and say something. Like, I feel like your guys' energy is so loud and so profound that it is understood. Like, I'm getting this sense of when my pile number 2, interesting, I wonder what's in pile 3. When my pile number 2 has their awareness on someone because you have such immense psychic gifts, I bet that person really feels when you are focused on them, or when there's a lot of passionate energy moving towards someone in the astral realms. And so when that's removed, I feel like they really feel it. So I feel like this is acknowledging that this person, whoever the situation, like, don't worry about what it is that they are going to recognize, or if they even realized. I feel like this other person or these other people, whatever the situation is, they're receiving their chance, their invitation to grow just as much as you do, or you are, because I most certainly feel like there has been, like, the scales have tipped where you have come back into your balance, right? You've come back into equilibrium with yourself and you've taken back your power. Or this guide is really asking you to, and saying that when you take back your power, and not make it about this other person, but you really just are like, okay, thanks for the lesson, moving on. Not going to continue to, feed into a dynamic that is clearly non-serving, or where there's like emotional maturity difference, like huge levels of emotional maturity difference, right? I feel like that's going to teach them all they need to know, or be their invitation, right? Because they're either going to make it about you, or they're going to use it as an opportunity to look through the situation. But you guys are at a point of your advancement where it's really important that you're not making things, triggers, etc., mean something about other people. It's always an invitation deeper into yourself. Actually, pile 2, I'm gonna tell you, that's actually what this tattoo is. It's a little janky because I had to go over it a couple times, but when I bend, it looks fine. But that's actually what this tattoo is about. No matter what's happening outside, like, always point the finger back in. What is that here to teach me about myself? What is that here to, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether I'm perceiving something as good, whether I'm perceiving as something as bad, it's all an invitation deeper into myself. It has nothing to do with what's out here. And so that's what this invitation is here for. So we have the Knight of Coins moving into the Queen of Coins. So I feel like this situation, like, is going to up level you across the board. I feel like it's interesting. Even though these are different suits, we do have the Page into the Knight and the Knight into the Queen. So I'm just overall getting the sense that this is going to up level you to the point where, like, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for you to identify. Like, I'm getting the sense that you guys kind of gave people much more of a chance than they probably deserved. And so I feel like you're going to get this is helping you get a lot better without, creating shields, and without creating barriers, and without closing down your heart. You're going to be able to get a lot more discerning, and it's going to be easier for you to just be like, I'm not feeling this. I'm getting some mixed energy here. So peace and love on your journey, but, this ain't happening. I'm not going down this motherfucking rodeo, okay? So I feel like holistically, this situation was meant to trigger you into being much more firm within yourself, and to recognize when someone is at a capacity of awareness that where they're also a unified personality. Because I'm really feeling that you guys are quite unified within yourself, and there's still some karmic runoff in terms of attracting beings that are maybe not as far along as you on their journey of becoming unified, right? And so it's like peace and love. You can have acquaintances, sure, but this is really recognizing who deserves the depth and the love and the care and the generosity to the degree that that you can give, but also it's an equal, right? There's a lot here. This guide is like, equal balance. You give so much, you have so much to give. It's not like we're picking and choosing, like, whatever feels natural, honor that. But at the same time, it's all about circles, like people that you really, really are within your paradigms. Like, that's who really gets to know my pile number 2s, and being discerning, not just leaving that door open to just anyone. You know what I mean? So this is beautiful. I hope this, it seems like there's a lot of multi-layers to this one specific lesson. And it seems like it has to do with a person in particular, some sort of like high-level soulmate type of dynamic, no matter how short or long they've been in your life too. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. Please give this video a thumbs up if it resonated. Comment anything down below, any synchronicities. Subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. Hey, my pile number 3s. Welcome to your reading for a message that a guide has been trying to communicate to you. So if y'all skip past my intro, I'm about to say it again, okay? We have 2 aspects we're diving into. We're diving into who the guide is, that has this message that's been trying to communicate something to you, and then we'll obviously get into the message, okay? That would be weird if we didn't. So, excuse me. So I haven't looked at any of your cards. We're going to do this all real time together. So who is the guide for pile number 3? Excuse me. So we have a tarot and we have an oracle. We have Lord, take charge with authority, and we have the Empress. Okay, this is so crazy because this is like, in this deck in particular, the Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray, this is actually equivalent to the Emperor. And then we have the Empress coming through. Okay, I do not hand select these cards. Well, I do in a way, but I don't like shuffle through and like, let's see which ones I should pick today. So the guide that's coming through, I feel like this, for some of you, it most certainly could be a past loved one. This feels more, there's a significant amount of power that I am feeling from this guide. I'm not saying our ancestors don't have power, but it does feel like someone or a being that probably has taken birth at some point. I was just telling Pal 2 this as well. It feels, okay, yeah, so it could be, for some of you guys, it could most certainly be like a past parent coming through, or someone that was kind of authoritative to you. And for others, it's a being that has taken more on a role that you've had other incarnations with, however, has not taken a body that you've seen within this incarnation that you're in. So it's going to be different for both of you, for all 2 tuning into this, or for, I'm just getting a strong, very 2 distinct separate groups. So generally too, the guides that are coming through to help us, or that, have a message for us, what they embody, the energy they embody, or who the guide is, it also kind of leaks into what their message is or what they're trying to assist us with, right? So this is a guide that's all about, like, I feel like this guide helps people, or is a being that really wants to see you step into your leadership role. This is a guide that is like, sees pile 3's potential, and we'll get deeper in with the tarot, but I'm feeling this sense that pile 3 does not see the extent of their impact. Pile 3 does not see and recognize the extent of like what it is you came here to do. I'm feeling like this is big dharma type of, not that anyone's dharma is more or less big, but this is like big energies. Like this is like BDE. This is like big dharma energy, big destiny energy. You know what I mean? So we have, we have the Empress too. This is a very balanced guide coming through. Like with this Empress card in particular, I always see the Queen of Queens, because we have all the queens down here, or all of the suits down here. And I see this as like the queens, right? And then she's kind of ruling over it. So I feel like this is pile 3 is my leader of leaders. And so this guide, this could even be like more of an archangel type of energy for some of you guys that don't resonate with it being like a powerful person that was alive in this lifetime with you. Like this could even be a grandparent, or like an uncle, or like someone that I feel like also was very authoritative and made a lot of change on the planet on a tangible level. And for others of you, this is a soul that has taken birth with you before, but just not in this lifetime, right? But regardless of like whether you knew them or not, their energy is very loud. And this is someone that is here to help guide you make a lot of change on the planet, and to step into your shoes, your big girl and big boy shoes. Yeah, because you are here to, like, I'm getting like very visionary, very thought leader type of vibe. Someone who is very determined. I am seeing the Rams in the back too. So you could have like first house placements, or like Aries in your chart, or just, what is that energy is what's most important to me, and not whether it's in your chart. It's like the energy of, self-image, being very confident within yourself, very bold, like to the point where you're going to say how you feel. Like if you see someone that's attractive, you're just going to say it, not because you want A, B, C, or D, but that's just because you're so, you got it within yourself that how someone else responds to you does not in any way like add to or detract from your sense of confidence and sense of well-being. So that's the type of like level of guide that you are working here with. It's like someone that does not fuck around and knows like what they're here for. And so this is what this guide is coming through to help you with. So we'll learn more about the guide the deeper that we get into with the tarot and the other oracles. So what is this message? We have 2 cards today. All That Glitters and Explorer. So I'm hearing like explore all that glitters. So I feel like this has to do with taking a bet on yourself, and understanding that if you want something, and if it feels like it is something that is going to light you up internally and bring you a lot of joy and bring you a lot of freedom and expansion. There's a lot here about like going after that which lights you up internally. This all that glitters too. I'm hearing that phrase. It's like all that glitters is not gold. So like you being discerning and you understanding that you have the right and the authority in your life to explore what the fuck that means to you. And, you know, take patience, have patience with yourself. I'm hearing that there's no rush for pile 3. There's no rush. You might feel like time is running out is what I'm hearing. And that there's no rush. Like, where are we going to go? You have eternity to explore, you know? And so it's interesting because I feel like before people feel like they can take charge or show up as an authority figure, they have to have it all figured out. That's not what it is. Someone that believes in themselves is someone that speaks with authority, because where you speak from is coming from your internal wellspring. That's coming from a level of depth that far surpasses the mind and like regurgitating what we've heard from, you know, other tarot readers or other esoteric teachers or philosophers, whatever. But it's like, what does this mean to me? I'm hearing that it's important. It's imperative for pile 3 to figure out what everything means to pile 3, and giving yourself permission to explore and giving yourself permission to know that, you know, no one really knows. Everyone is just doing the best they can. There's no template. That's the joy. That's the fun of coming into a reality that is so veiled with illusion. It's so thick, right? Because on some level you think that you don't know, but on a deeper level you really do know. So this guide is really coming through and being like, figure out what the fuck it means to you, and stop as much as you can thinking, like, taking the bait that someone else knows more than you do. Someone knows better than you. I feel like you are going to, the more that you own your authority and own your inner voice and what it is that you came to embody, this guide is saying that you are going to bring in so much prosperity. I was just talking to a soul sister. We were like, how was your portal? Because 222 was the most portal of portals I've ever portaled around. Like, usually I'm like, this portal shit is hype. Like, I don't ever really feel anything, but I truly felt it. Like, it was insane. And she was explaining to me that what made her portal so fulfilling was, she was talking about, I had really fulfilling conversations with my clients. She does hair really great in like Portland area. She was saying, then I came home and I had a really fulfilling conversation with my sisters, and then I had really fulfilling, like, her, boy, stop scraping those little nails. Her description of fulfillment had to do with her connections and what allowed her heart to feel more blossoming and more open, right? And so that's the level that this guide is ushering you towards. It's like, what speaks to your heart? What is less about the mind and less about templates and less about following the rules of society, and what speaks to your heart? And you have the authority to explore that. You know, who the fuck is here to tell, you know, I don't know what age I'm dealing with here, but if you guys are a little bit younger, but, you know, this sense of exploration never stops. It doesn't matter. And especially it doesn't matter, like, we all are going to have our awakenings at different points, right? And for different reasons. We don't know. We don't always know from this level. And so I'm feeling like whether or not this is a first, second kind of awakening, initial type of awakening, or if it's just like you're going through a significant rebirth where you realize how much, like, you're like, how much have I actually taken the time to explore what actually sets me free? Right? And so I feel like this is, whatever you guys are going through, this guide is like, you are going to come into so much prosperity on so many levels when you just take the time to explore. Take the time to figure out for yourself what it means. Taking charge with authority. And I feel like too, if some of you guys are in this, we'll get deeper with the tarot, but if some of you guys are feeling like you're in limbo, like, where do I go next? You're going to figure it out. It's going to come to you. It's going to fall into your lap. The things that have transformed my life the most and taken me deeper into my dharma and deeper into my seat of authority, and like where I really feel like extremely bold, coming from a person that felt like they had little backbone, little to none backbone, right? Little to no backbone. It's the opportunities that have catalyzed me in that direction where once I never would have been like, oh, this is what I'm going to need. They've literally fallen into my lap, and I've been perceptive enough to kind of know what sets me free and what I'm about to say yes to the opportunity when it comes, right? So this is like, but I wouldn't have allowed those realities in if I didn't explore different things, right? So this is really about giving yourself permission to explore. So we'll get deeper with the in-between tarot and this. So you have Temperance coming up. So taking your time, right? Not rushing the process, taking your time to figure it out. There's a lot here about, I feel like there might be distorted perceptions about taking charge and what it means to show up as an authoritative figure it doesn't look any type of way, pile 3, is what this guide is coming through and really reiterating. It doesn't look a certain type of way. And when you've done that internal alchemization, when you're going through this process of purification, sometimes it actually looks very messy, right? But you're much more of a relatable authority figure when you're like, whatever, when it doesn't matter that it looks messy, right? When you're not focused on what the outside journey looks, but you're just focusing much more on that internal purification, right? And I'm hearing too, it looks a lot more graceful than you think when it is coming from that place of just like humility, devotion to yourself, to life itself, to figuring out what it means to you. There's a sense of humility that is communicated through that far surpasses, it supersedes what the conscious mind can even interpret, right? But you'll carry more and more this energy of like, pile 3 comes into a room and people are like, I don't know what this person is doing, but I know they're doing something, right? It's because it's the energy that is the most important here. You could literally not know what you're doing externally or really have your fingertips exploring different things, but give yourself that permission. I'm so grateful I gave myself permission to make jewelry for an amount of time and see that I can like make money that way and people would pay for it, right? And that could support me. I'm so excited I gave myself permission to be a fitness instructor for a short amount of time and to grow in certain ways and to open my throat chakra and see my boldness come through and what it means to surrender to your power. I'm so happy that I gave tarot a chance because now I'm still able to communicate and teach in ways that, I deeply feel guided to, while other things, and I'm still doing my main channel, so like, I don't know, but I've never felt so more sure of my path in a space where it seems like I don't really know what's happening. There's no security, there's no IRA, there's no rollover at 401k, whatever. There's none of that, but that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about that internal gold, right? All that glitters is an internal thing. So I feel like that's what this alchemization period is, that what you're in pile number 3. So there might be a reframing necessary of what is happening, right? You become much more authoritative when it's like, you're taking chances, right? When we tune into our favorite podcasts, right? Some of our favorite episodes are when people really exude and exhibit the hero's journey. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know why they're setting off in a certain way, but they trusted themselves. They took a bet on themselves because they understood that where they were it could even look really great. You could have all this success and all the things externally that everyone said is what you need to have a fulfilling life. But, these generations are waking up to that. It's like, what does it mean for you? Right? And so, again, there's this internal alchemization that's happening. There's a lot of boldness. And one of the reasons why we love those podcasts so much is because, they make it, right? They like, despite all the obstacles and the challenges and the not knowing, somehow it works out, right? I don't know. I think it might be Terrence McKenna that said, when we take a bet on ourselves, like when we take a leap, all of the forces of nature conspire in our favor. And like it bends, like reality bends to support you. And so I feel like that's really what you're going to gain so much confidence in yourself because you're taking leaps and you're trusting on faith, right? You're making decisions on faith. True faith. So in ways that you're going to start to see more and more. And I'm hearing to an extent you've already seen this of what happens, of what is possible when you lean more on faith than on rational mind, rational thinking, taking orders from the outside in versus making them from the inside out. Right? So you're going to gain much more confidence in your ability to discern what is right for yourself, for your reality, and tuning into your soul's plan, your soul's blueprint. Right? Because when you're aligning to that soul plan, man, things just are a lot more rapid. And people are like, what the hell? Didn't you just start this? And you blow up, right? You blow up overnight, or just like, that's not even what matters. It's just like the place that you're sitting in is so free, regardless of how free other people would say you are or not. Like, you're like, I am free. It feels so good. So your last 2 cards, you have the Ace of Cups into the 2 of Cups. You have the 3 of Cups into the 4 of Cups. So this is not the first time. One of the other piles too had like the 4 into the 8 of Cups. So it was interesting. So for you guys, this is a heart awakening. The Ace of Cups is all about awakening of the heart. I feel like throughout this, you will see, I'm seeing the 2 of Cups here. I'm seeing 2 cups in the Temperance, and I'm, seeing the two of Cups represented here. So I feel like the type of, again, that conversation came in with my soul sister about the fulfillment what true fulfillment was. And I even like, you know, sent her a voice memo back, and I was like, I love that your degree of like fulfillment had so much to do with like your the depth that you were able to connect with other people. And so the depth that we are able to connect with other people is the depth that we are first and foremost connecting with within ourselves. And so I feel like that's going to expand. You're going to draw in all the resources that you need, right? The people, the places. Yeah, I see some lovers because we have the 2 and the 3 of cups here. I feel like this is friends. This is lovers. This is going to take you down routes and pathways that, you know, it's the road less traveled that you couldn't have created any better. And it's probably even greater and even grander than your conceptual mind could have tried to visualize, right? And it's about enjoying the journey because we have the 3 into the 4. So this is all about like enjoying the journey of like, yeah, we something starts new with the ace. We explore, we deepen, we exchange with the 2. With the 3, there's other, you know, that there's more of that exchange, and it's expanding, it's broadening. And then sometimes it's acknowledging, okay, when is it time to walk away? So, but really giving yourself permission to live out that entire life cycle with all things, not just relationships, but just what truly sets your heart on fire, right? So this guide is like, take authority. You can do this. You have every right. Like, this is your birthright as a creator, as a spark of God, to explore these things and to figure out what it means to you. So pile number 3, huge transformations either occurring or you're being invited to, like internal alchemization, really getting to know yourself, really getting to know what the fuck you came here to do, who the fuck you came here to be. Pile number 3. So blessings on your journey. If this resonated, please give this video a thumbs up, comment anything down below that feels resonant, subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. Hey Pile 4, welcome to your reading for a message that one of your guides has been trying to communicate to you. So we have, we're going to dive into, hold up. It is too cold outside for this window to be open, okay? Okay, so we're going to dive into who the guide is. We'll be diving into, obviously, what the message is. And that's about it. So it's been a journey. Yeah, so we're going to start off with these 2 cards. We have a tarot card and we have an oracle to represent who this guide is, what the energies are that they embody. Heart guardian, love and let yourself be loved. We also have the Page of Cups coming through. Okay, so this feels like similar, what is it, Pile 2? This is a guide that I feel like is much less of a personal guide. So how my guides break it down to me is that we have personal guides, which are like ancestors and beings that we've taken incarnation with before, ancestors and like loved ones that pass, right, friends, etc. They become more of our personal guides, and then it starts to expand to where the guides become much less personal, and they're kind of overseeing a group of beings with certain codes that they're here to be supportive of, activating and helping step into. So this definitely feels like a very feminine type of energy coming through, overseer. And this most certainly has to do with, you know, especially with the Page of Cups, I feel like this has to do with forgiveness for some of you guys. Forgiveness and worthiness, compassion for self and others. So generally the guides that are coming through to help us are also guides that, whatever the energy they embody, I'm hearing Mother Mary. And oh my God, I kid you not, I'm pretty sure I saw one of the oracles flip over for this pile, and I swear I'm pretty sure it's the Mother Mary. I like saw just a little glimpse of it, so we're gonna get into it. But I'm actually hearing that just based off this. She looks like Mother Mary. So you know, she is the being that is she oversees souls that are wanting to step more into their dharma and wanting to, like, she helps other light workers and other like children of dharma, right? Bodhisattvas. She helps them help other children. So there's a lot here about keeping the heart open, forgiving the self and others. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Understanding the complexities that exist within your own self helps you to understand the complexities that are bound to exist within the rest of humanity. And this guide is also saying that you are a very, goosebumps, you are a very high level entity. So you have explored higher densities than what just Earth is in supportive of at this time. So what another way of saying that is higher density means the amount of light that can exist within a paradigm or within a reality. And there's kind of a cutoff on planet Earth of the density that is able to exist. You guys come from a density or have explored densities that are much more lighter, much more brighter than what planet Earth can offer. So I'm hearing that when you guys took incarnation on planet Earth, it was very hard on your system, your nervous system. So it felt very traumatic within itself, just taking a human birth, because it was so much more veiled, and it was so much more kind of, there was such a deep level of like attack that your system felt taking birth here. So this guide is very aware of this. This guide is wanting to bring through a message of insight and clarity around how to navigate this earth with the amount of density that's on it, okay? But this is all about the seat of emotions and forgiving others and knowing where to draw boundaries, how to draw boundaries. And this is a very high level guide. I don't want to wait anymore. I want to see if this Mother Mary card is really what came through. So 2 oracle cards to represent. I'm really trying not to look at, because I know I'm gonna get excited. 2 oracle cards to represent the message, and then we have tarot to get into deeper detail. I knew it. That's so crazy. You cannot make this up. I was like, I'm about to feel some type of way if it wasn't this card. So yeah, Mother Mary coming through, and then we have chaos and conflict. Okay, so it might just be this time on the planet might be really hard for you guys. You guys might have like had to take a certain stand for things that may have made other people feel some type of way about you, or like attack you, or like your values and your morals and just what you feel like. I'm hearing that this is a group, like I'm getting very angelic. I just have goosebumps all over my body in this reading, and I'm feeling a very angelic presence. So this guide is very angelic, but I'm also hearing too, you know, I had a friend post, or more acquaintance friend post something about, you know, this woman who, this was on TikTok, and he reposted a guy talking about his friend who can speak with other dimensionals or whatever. And when another dimensional came and visited her, it was an angel or a being that, you know, is of such high frequency that came and started speaking to her, that because her human mind couldn't perceive or couldn't acknowledge or didn't have like a context of what it was, her first initial question was, "Are you an alien?" Isn't that interesting? So it was just an interesting way for me to think of like, you know, people that resonate with being starseeds or Earth not being their native planet, which is really coming through strong for this pile, is like, you know, the energy is so foreign. It can almost be so foreign that I don't know why I was guided to go down this tangent, honestly. I'm sure it'll connect at some point, but I just feel like that's what you guys embody, and you have very high level guides, not just from that are overseeing the collective of beings that come in, like the 144,000, just the beings on the planet that came in specifically here to usher in Christ consciousness, to usher in Buddha nature, the Buddha mind on planet Earth. And so it's like there's a lot of chaos and conflict. We also have the number of the Sun and Masters coming through here too with 33. So I feel like, I feel like one of the reasons that you incarnated, one of the main reasons you incarnated on planet Earth at this time is to help bring compassion to moments of extreme chaos and conflict on the planet, which doesn't matter which decade or century you're incarnating within, there's always going to be chaos and conflict on planet Earth within this time frame spectrum. So it seems like you guys are extremely there's just a lot. There's a lot of almost heaviness, but also like undying love, I feel like, for humanity. And for some of you too, it might be the opposite. For some of you too, I'm hearing that you feel like maybe a little bit bitter, and your guide is coming through. This guide is coming through and saying that the bitterness will be there to the extent that you have forgotten your mission. So a big part of your mission for being on Earth at this time is to usher in love and to usher in, you know, speaking to the people that get it, right? The people that resonate with the message, and people that aren't able to digest and understand. There's a different word trying to come through, and I'm trying to get it. What is that other word? It doesn't matter. But the people that can't understand on a mental level, it's like you're, you know, there's the electromagnetic field of the heart is the part of our auric field that extends and expands the most. So, you know, praying for those that would wish harm upon you, praying for those that you feel like don't want the best for you, right? That is like the ultimate trump of all. It's not like putting your protection spells on and lighting your protection candle. It's like send them love, because that's ultimately what they need, right? that's the ultimate trump of all, is like connecting with that Christ energy. I and my Father are one, but also love your neighbor as yourself. Not because it's a nice thing to say, but because that is a self. That is your other self. That is a version of you, right? And there's some very high level yogis that would even say we play all the parts for all the people. I mean, for the finite mind to try to conceptualize infinity in that way is really hard. But if you just think about, we're going to play all the parts. So all of the people that have done all the things to you that you may or may not have liked or appreciated, at some point they say that you've played that part, or you're going to play that part to them, right? So it's really living from this place of letting people off the hook. Forgiveness was coming through in the very beginning, right? Forgiving the other, understanding that when people are operating under levels of confusion, veils of confusion, they're going to create suffering. The greater the veils, the greater the suffering we create for others, right? But the more that you recognize your brother, I feel like you guys tend to do this, but I'm just getting this sense of like feeling just kind of fed up with the bullshit and fed up with people coming at you, or like making like you becoming a target for people's projections just because they don't understand. Like, there's a reason why beings, like really high beings, have been known to be persecuted by certain limited minds. It's because like it's such a threat when a being comes in and is like, there's a different way to live. And when people are so attached to their reality and what they think is going on, and when they're so attached to their unforgiveness and their resentment, someone else coming in being like, hey, there's something else going on. You don't have to have this. And you can actually see this in a way that lets everyone off the hook, for greater freedom. It's like, if people are so attached to being right, they're not going to choose freedom, right? And you will most certainly become their object of persecution. Trust me, right? We've seen it. I've seen it not only within my own life, but we hear that from all the masters and any being who's ever operated from a very expanded lens of perception and wanting to communicate that to other people, minds that aren't ready for it and that are so attached to their narrative meaning something, and putting so much emphasis and so much reality into something so ephemeral, right? You can't get through to them. They're not ready, which is fine. And so with Mother Mary again coming through, we have this is all about, you have a lot more protection than you think. I'm hearing too that this guide really wants to come through and you are being helped. There's something about help coming, or help being on the way, or you're not as alone as you think you are. You might feel very alone. Like, again, I'm getting this sense of like you guys having very different morals and very different values than other people, just because your native vibration. My voice has been cracking. We had a mouse in the house yesterday and I screamed a lot because we caught it. Maya and I caught it, and then we tried to like pet it, and then it jumped out, and it was scary, okay? So I screamed. So my voice is recovering. But damn it. I feel like what was I saying, Spirit? Please let it come back. I'm sorry. I didn't mean the tangent. Come back. Oh yeah, because your native mode of operating is so much more on the end of unification and less separation based, like it is on Earth, that naturally your morals and your values have always been much different, I feel, than a lot of the people around you, and they haven't always understood you. And I feel like because of that might have caused your heart to close down a little bit, or you became the object of people like talking shit, or just like, people that don't understand you, or, if generally it's the people with less expanded paradigms will judge you in your paradigm, because they can't see from your lens. But generally it's the older souls and the more expanded souls that have no judgment, because they understand that they aren't always going to know why someone has to explore certain things, or they understand their point of view in terms of digesting and assimilating reality is not always going to look the same, right? You're standing in different places, you're going to see different things. So, I feel like that just kind of just reveals where everyone is at on their own journey of evolution. And again, we don't have to judge it, but this guide is just being like, understand, like, love and let yourself be loved. There might be we're going to get deeper with the tarot, but there might be opportunities too of like more community coming in, or at least connecting with like-minded souls in some way. But yeah, Mother Mary is all about assisting those beings, assisting the children that are here to assist the children of the planet, so the planet in general. So there's a lot here about protection. There's a lot of here, because we have the guardian. There's a lot here about Yeah, we also have the dolphin, which also, I just saw 1333 or 333, which is another ascended master number. The dolphin also reminds me of starseeds, right? So, or beings that don't resonate. Sometimes that word can feel like, ugh. But just like beings that feel like planet Earth is not where they've taken the most of their incarnations. It seems like you've been where planet Earth is at in terms of evolution, and you've done some work past then, okay? We'll just leave it there. So, first tarot card, and then I have 2 in-between tarots, which you guys know I love so much. So, first tarot card, Queen of Wands. A lot here about the divine feminine energy. So this is about being bold. This is about speaking up, saying it how it is, right? You can still be bold, and you can still be a loving, compassionate person while still knowing when to say fuck off or fuck you. And you can do that in a really beautiful and a very kind way, depending on the energies, right? This is something I'm learning too. Doesn't make you any less evolved, doesn't make you any less whatever, especially beings that are so tender and tend to be more on the empathic side are the beings I feel like could benefit the most from telling someone to fuck off when it's needed. So we have Sun and we have Judgment. So this is all about, look at all these angels, you guys. So I feel like this just reiterates the fact that you are supported. You know, Mother Mary is coming through strong here and saying this, and you have a lot of like divine angelic guidance coming through, divine angelic protectors. So you guys are really a part of a group of souls that, you know, came here to, you know, fuck some shit up in terms of shifting paradigms on the planet. You know, the sun is all about illumination. So the things that need to be brought into the light, right? Bringing humanity to a point of judgment, right? Bringing humanity to a place where we're recognizing, we're illuminating all of the aspects of our psyche and our inner worlds that just don't support harmony and that are just like faulty, right? This is about illuminating to the point to where our souls are being set free. And so I feel like this guide is coming through, and just remembering what the mission is really strong, and being bold, saying what's on your heart, saying it in a way that however you need to say it, even if your voice shakes, speak your truth. My pile number 4, 3 of Wands and the 4 of Wands. So I'm hearing that you guys are going to surprise yourself with this new level of boldness that you're stepping into. There's a lot of red coming through. So there's a new level of security and confidence within yourself. And I feel like these situations, these points of chaos and conflict are meant to trigger you. They're meant to trigger you to a point of maybe even sometimes you guys feel like snapping, right? It's like you can only, you can only, like, there is a lot of fire here coming through with the Sun, with the Queen of Wands, the 3 of Wands, like but there's just enough Heart and Cups energy too. That's like, I feel like people are poking and prodding, or have been, or you felt poked and prodded at. And I feel like, you know, you don't always have to bite, but at the very least, you can show people that you have some motherfucking teeth. Okay. And so I feel like for you guys, my pile number 4, your guide is being like, you can still love and let yourself be loved while also being like, I'm not one to fuck with, right? And you know, who are you? Who is anyone to say that my version of reality is any less valid, right? And I feel like this is there's a celebration. The 3 of Wands, 4 of Wands talks about celebration, right? 3 of Wands is like you're setting out to new horizons. So in this case, I feel like it's like you're setting out to a new level of owning who you are, and you are going to be successful. And the 4 of Wands to me is like about community and like celebrating with other like-minded people. And I feel like you're a lot more guided. You're a lot more guided right now than you think, even if you feel very alone right now, pile number 4. And it's leading you to victory. This chaos and conflict was meant to poke at your foundation to see where your house was still built upon sand, so you could become more firm within yourself. And it's like you are going to rise. You are already rising. You're in the process of rising. And I feel like if anything too, if you feel like you've gone through a lot of chaos and conflict and now you're already embodying that Queen of Wands energy, this is like good for fucking you, you know, good for you. Like this is something to celebrate. But at the very least, it's like Spirit is saying there's more to come. This is just the beginning. 3 of Wands is setting out for a new adventure, and it's like enjoying the journey to get to that point of celebration, which, you know, could mean so many different things, but it's like where you guys are operating at, it's like journeys within journeys, and you're enjoying the journeys along the way, and then there's going to be somewhere else to set off. But ultimately, I'm getting this sense of freedom. Ultimately, I'm getting this sense of releasing yourself from, just like low thought forms and energies. I'm not saying that it's necessarily bad, but being able, being okay to draw the line, and you're going to be able to help. If it's uplifting to you, it's uplifting to the rest of humanity. If it's detrimental to you and your vibration, you can be sure as hell you're not able to give as freely. Your cup is not going to be running over as much as it could. So understanding where it's okay to like set those boundaries, and that doesn't mean you're cutting someone out of your heart, right? And there might be a purification process for you guys, a tenderizing process of becoming someone that is very bold, but also very loving, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can very much so be both. And actually, at this point on the planet, we really do need those type of leaders. So that's what you're being primed for. That's what you're being helped. Very high level angelic beings. And this might even be, oh yeah, that's why. It came back around finally as I'm closing this. Some of these guides, these very angelic guides, might be beings from your home planet, not home planet, but from planets that you've spent a lot more time on, right? Again, that whole like, is that an angel? Is it an alien, right? Doesn't really matter what label you want to call it, but these are beings that, you were sent in. You were volunteered for tribute. Yeah, that's what I say. I'm like, I did not choose. I was volunteered for tribute. But it's like, you were sent in and they're like, we got you, man. So meet them in meditation. You probably already feel them around you. You get signs about them all the time. But it's like calling in that vibration of your home. I keep saying home planet. So that's maybe a lexicon that you guys use, but not necessarily one that I use. But calling in the vibration of those higher densities that you've spent more time in, and grounding that on earth, and just being bold, being fierce, like you guys already are. A lot of fire here, good amount of like cup energy too. So yeah, keep on keeping on. Pile number 4, thanks for being here. Please like this video if it resonated. Comment any synchronicities down below. Let me know if it resonates, which star systems you resonate with the most, and subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon.